The morning sun rose over New Seoul Colony like it had for the past 10 years. Kim Tae-ho stood on his office balcony, watching farmers work in the green fields below. The sight always made him smile. When he first came to this planet, there was nothing but empty land and big dreams. Now 50,000 people called this place home. Another peaceful day, he said to himself, sipping his coffee. Kim Tae-ho was the colony's leader. Back on Earth, he used to work with alien governments. He believed humans could live in peace with other species among the stars. Down in the medical center, Dr. Park Min-soo checked on his patients. His wife, Dr. Lee Sora, worked beside him. They had built the colony's hospital from nothing. Now, it was the best medical facility in this part of space. "Dad, look at this." Their daughter, Park Ji-woo, ran into the hospital, holding a small alien plant. She was 16 and loved studying alien life forms. "I found this growing near the river. It changes color when you touch it." Dr. Park smiled at his daughter's excitement. "That's wonderful, Ji-woo. Maybe you can study it after school." "I want to be a scientist like you and Mum," Ji-woo said. "But I want to study aliens, not heal people." "Both are important," her mother said, patting her head. "Healing brings peace. Learning brings understanding." Across town, Choi Da-jung walked through the colony's defense center. The room was small and quiet. Most days, nothing happened here. New Seoul only had basic weapons to protect against wild animals or space pirates. The colony was too far from any wars to need real military equipment. "Sir, we're getting some strange readings," said his assistant, pointing at a screen. Choi looked at the display. Several large objects were moving toward their planet. They were still far away, but getting closer fast. "Probably traders," Choi said. "Send them the usual welcome message." At the communication center, Ambassador Yoon Hyun-woo prepared the greeting. He had done this hundreds of times before. New Seoul was always happy to meet new alien visitors. "This is New Seoul Colony," he broadcast into space. "We welcome you in peace. We are a human farming community. We offer friendship and trade. Please respond so we can help you." The message went out to the approaching ships. Yoon waited for an answer. All alien species they had met before were friendly. Some were strange-looking, but they all wanted to trade and learn about humans. Minutes passed, no answer came. "Maybe their communication system is different," Yoon said to his team. "Try sending the message in other languages." They sent greetings in 12 different alien languages, still no response. In her school classroom, Gi-woo was showing her alien plant to her friends when the emergency alarm started ringing. The sound was so loud it hurt their ears. None of them had ever heard it before. "Everyone stay calm," said their teacher, Miss Han, but her voice was shaking. "This is probably just a test." But it was not a test. On space, above the planet, massive alien ships dropped out of hyperspace. They were black and covered in spikes. Each ship was 3 times larger than any human vessel. Strange symbols glowed red on their hulls. Captain Nam Jin-ho commanded New Seoul's only defense ship, the Protector. It was small compared to the alien vessels, but it was fast and had good sensors. "This is Captain Nam of the Earthship Protector," he broadcast. "You have entered human space. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." The alien ships said nothing. Instead, they began to move into attack formation. "They're not responding to any communication," Nam told his crew. "And their weapons are charging." Back on the planet, Kim Tae-ho ran to the defense center. The screens showed the alien ships getting ready to attack. "Who are they?" he asked Choi. "We don't know," Choi replied. "They won't talk to us. But they're ships. They're built for war." "Maybe there's been a mistake," Kim said. He had spent his life believing that all problems could be solved with words. "Keep trying to contact them." Ambassador Yoon sent message after message. He offered food, water, fuel, anything the aliens might need. He explained that New Seoul was a peaceful colony with no military value. The aliens answered with weapons fire. The first energy blast hit the communication center. Yoon and his entire team died instantly. The building exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen across the colony. "They're attacking," Choi shouted into his radio. "All civilians get to the shelters." But the aliens had other plans. Their ships spread out across the sky and began bombing the shelter areas first. They knew exactly where the humans would try to hide. Captain Nam fired his ship's weapons at the nearest alien vessel. His missiles hit the enemy hull, but did no damage. The alien ship was protected by energy shields. His weapons could not break. "Send a message to Earth," Nam ordered his communications officer. "Tell them we're under attack by unknown aliens. Send everything we've recorded about these ships." The message raced through space toward Earth. It would take hours to arrive, but at least Earth would know what happened here. Dr. Park and Dr. Lee were helping injured people in the hospital when the building shook from an explosion nearby. Through the windows, they could see alien soldiers walking through the streets. They were tall and gray with 4 arms and red eyes. They carried weapons that fired green energy beams. "We need to get the patients to safety," Dr. Lee said. But there was nowhere safe to go. The aliens were everywhere. Jiwoo ran home from school, crying and scared. She found her house empty. Her parents were still at the hospital. She hid in her closet and listened to the sounds of battle outside. The aliens did not just attack military targets, they shot at houses, schools, and shops. They killed anyone they found, including children and old people. They showed no mercy. To anyone, Kim Tae-ho tried to surrender. He stood in the town square with a white flag, hoping to save his people's lives. "We surrender," he shouted at the alien soldiers. "Please stop. We are not warriors, we are farmers." The aliens shot him where he stood. Captain Num watched his colony burn from space. His ship was damaged and could not fight anymore, but he could still record what was happening. "This is Captain Nam Jin-ho." He broadcast his final message. "The aliens, ... they call themselves the Vorthok. They came without warning. They refuse all communication. They are killing everyone, men, women, children. They are not taking prisoners. This is not war, this is murder." An alien ship fired at the Protector. The blast tore through the hull, but Nam kept talking. "They slaughtered the innocent," he said, as his ship broke apart around him. "Tell Earth. Tell them to remember us. Tell them what these monsters did here." The transmission ended as the Protector exploded down on the planet. The killing continued for 3 days. When it was over, New Sol Colony was gone. 50,000 humans were dead. The aliens had destroyed every building, every farm, every sign that humans had ever lived there. The Vorthok ships left as suddenly as they had arrived. They jumped back into hyperspace without taking anything or leaving any message. Only silence remained where once there had been laughter, dreams, and life. But Captain Nom's final transmission was already racing toward Earth, carrying news of the massacre. Soon, humanity would learn what had happened to their peaceful farmers, and humanity would remember. The message from New Sol reached Earth at 3:47 a.m. Earth Standard Time. Captain Nam Jin-ho's final transmission played in the Emergency Command Center in Lunar City. On Earth's moon, Admiral Song Ki-tae sat in the dark room, watching the recording. For the 3rd time, he was a big man with gray hair and scars from old battles. He had fought in wars before, but he had never seen anything like this. "Play it again," he told his aide, Commander Bae Soo-jin. The screen showed Captain Nom's face. As his ship was dying around him, behind him, explosions lit up the space around New Sol Colony. His voice was calm, even as death came for him. "They slaughtered the innocent," Nam said in the recording. "Tell Earth. Tell them to remember us." Admiral Song closed his eyes. He had known Nam. They had served together 20 years ago. Nam was a good man who believed in peace. Now, he was dead, along with 50,000 other innocent people. "Sir," Commander Bae said quietly. "We're getting more reports. 3 other colonies have gone silent. Riverside Station, New Busan, and the mining colony on Kepler 62F. The same aliens." Song asked. We think so. The few survivors who escaped describe the same ships. The same grey aliens with red eyes. They call themselves the Vortixong. Stood up slowly. His bones ached from too many years in space, but his mind was sharp and filled with anger. Contact President Lim, he said. Tell him we need an emergency meeting. Now. 2 hours later, President Lim Jae-sung sat in the crisis room with his top advisors. The walls were covered with screens showing the destroyed colonies, pictures of dead families, burned schools, children's toys scattered in the ruins. President Lim was a small, quiet man who had led Earth for 8 years. He had always chosen peace over war. He believed humans could solve problems by talking, not fighting. But the pictures on the screens made his hands shake with rage. How many dead? He asked. Over 200,000 across all 4 colonies, Admiral Song replied. Men, women, children, babies. The Vorthok killed everyone they found. Have we tried to contact them? Yes, sir. We've sent messages on every frequency we know. We've offered to talk, to trade, to give them whatever they want. They don't answer. General Oh Sang-min leaned forward in his chair. He was the head of Earth's secret military forces. Most people didn't even know he existed. Mr. President, he said, in a low voice. We did receive one message from the Vorthok. Just one. What did it say? General O pressed a button. A harsh alien voice filled the room, speaking broken human language. Humans are weak species. Humans are plague in galaxy. Weakling galaxy of human disease. More human worlds will burn. All humans will die. The room fell silent. President Lim stared at the wall for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was different. Harder. They want to kill all of us, he said. Every man, woman, and child. Yes, sir, Admiral Song replied, because they think we're weak. Yes, sir. President Lim stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see Earth hanging in space like a blue jewel. 3 billion humans lived on that world. Billions more. Lived on colonies across the galaxy. All of them were now in danger. General O, President Lim said, without turning around. Tell me about the ghost fleets. The other people in the room looked confused. But General O smiled for the first time that day. The ghost fleets have been ready for 30 years, sir, are hidden in asteroid fields and dead systems across human space. Ships that officially don't exist. Weapons that we're not supposed to have. How? Many ships. 2,000 combat vessels, each one designed for one purpose, to destroy enemies who threaten human civilians. President Lim turned back to face the room. His eyes were cold as winter. Activate them all. Across human space, secret military bases came alive. Hidden weapons factories started working around the clock. Soldiers who had been living normal lives got emergency orders to report for duty. Dr. Kong Dujin was teaching physics at Seoul University. When the military police came for her, she was a small woman with thick glasses who looked like she couldn't hurt a fly, but Dr. Kong had built weapons that could destroy planets. Professor, the military officer said, your country needs you. Within hours, she was on a ship heading to the most secret research base in human space. There, she found other scientists like herself, people who had been working on peaceful projects but knew how to build tools of war. What are we building? Asked Dr. Kim, a quantum physicist. Everything, Dr. Kang replied, looking at the plans on her screen. Weapons the galaxy has never seen. Weapons that will make the Vorthok sorry they ever learned the word human. Meanwhile, recruitment centers across Earth opened their doors. Young men and women lined up to join the military. They had seen the pictures from New Seoul. They had heard about the dead. Children, they wanted revenge. Colonel Han Do-yeon was put in charge of creating a new type of soldier. He had fought in every major battle of the last 20 years. He knew how to turn ordinary people into killers. These won't be regular soldiers, he told his training staff. We're going to make them into something the aliens have never faced. Something that will hunt the Vorthok across the galaxy until every last one is dead. The training was brutal. Soldiers were given drugs that made them stronger and faster. Computer chips were put in their brains to make them smarter. They learned to fight with weapons, with their hands, and with their minds. Many quit. Some died in training. But those who survived became something new, something dangerous. They called themselves the Wraith Corps. President Lim appeared on every screen on every human world. His speech was broadcast to 3 billion people on Earth, and millions more on colony worlds. "My fellow humans," he said. 3 days ago, an alien species called the Vorthok attacked our peaceful colonies. They killed over 200,000 innocent people, men, women, and children who had never hurt anyone. Pictures of the victims appeared on the screen. Families, students, farmers, babies. The Vorthok say, "We are weak." They say, "We are a disease. That must be cleaned from the galaxy." They have promised to kill every human alive. The president's voice grew harder. "They are wrong about us. We are not weak. We have simply chosen to be peaceful. But when someone murders our children, when someone promises to destroy our entire species, we make a different choice." Behind him, the screen showed massive warships leaving hidden bases, thousands of them, all heading toward Vorthok space. "We tried to live in peace. We offered friendship to all species. But the Vorthok have shown us that some species only understand violence very well. We will speak to them in the only language they know." The president looked directly into the camera. "To the Vorthok hegemony, I say this. You wanted to see what humans do when we stop being peaceful. You wanted to test our strength. You slaughtered our innocent people to prove your superiority." His eyes were like ice. "You are about to learn why every predator species in Earth's history is now extinct. You are about to discover what happens when you threaten the survival of humanity itself. We are coming for you, all of you, and we will not stop until your entire species is nothing but a memory." The broadcast ended. Across human space, the greatest war machine in galactic history began to move. The Vorthok had wanted to see human strength. They were about to get their wish. 18 months had passed since the New Sol massacre. The peaceful human colonies that once grew food and built homes were now factories of war. Every human world worked day and night to build weapons and ships. Admiral Song Kite stood in the command center of the secret military base on Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Around him, thousands of people worked at computers and control panels. The screens showed human fleets moving through space toward Vorthok territory. "How many ships do we have ready?" he asked Commander Baesu Jin. 8,000 combat vessels, sir, all equipped with the new weapons Dr. Kong designed." Admiral Song nodded. Before the war, humans had maybe 50 military ships. The rest were science vessels and cargo haulers. Now they had built an armada that could fight the entire galaxy, and the Iron Doctrine is approved. "Yes, sir. President Lim signed it yesterday. No restrictions on weapons development. No limits on what we can do to enemy targets. Total war." The Iron Doctrine was simple. Anything that could kill Vorthok was allowed. Any weapon that could destroy their ships was built. Any tactic that could win battles was used. Humans had removed all rules from war. Dr. Kong the Jin worked in her laboratory deep inside an asteroid. She had not slept properly in months. Her team of scientists worked around the clock, creating weapons that broke the laws of physics. "The new ships are ready for testing," her assistant Dr. Kim told her. On the screen, they watched the first Erebus-class warship fire its main weapon. The target was an old moon that nobody needed anymore. The weapon did not just destroy the moon, it made the moon stop existing. The matter simply vanished, leaving empty space behind. "Quantum erasure successful," Dr. Kim said, checking his instruments. "The target has been removed from reality itself." Dr. Kong smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Good, build 50 more." The Vorthok wanted to erase humans from the galaxy. "Let's show them what real erasure looks like." In another part of the asteroid base, Dr. Kong's team tested temporal weapons. These bombs did not explode in normal time. They trapped enemy ships in time loops, making them relive the same moment of destruction forever. The temporal mines are working perfectly, reported Dr. Lee, another scientist. Enemy ships get caught in the loop and can never escape. They experience dying over and over again. Excellent, Dr. Kong said. Load them onto every ship in the fleet. On Earth, Colonel Han Duyon trained his new soldiers in facilities built to look like Vorthok worlds. The Wraith Corps had grown from a few hundred volunteers to 50,000 elite warriors. Each soldier had been changed by human science. Computer chips in their brains made them think faster than any normal human. Drugs in their blood made them stronger and more resistant to pain. Metal parts replaced some of their bones and organs. You are no longer just human, Colonel Han told a group of new recruits. You are weapons with human hearts. You exist for one purpose: to make the Vorthok pay for what they did to our people. The soldiers trained 18 hours a day. They learned to fight in zero gravity, underwater, in poisonous atmospheres, and in the dark. They studied every detail of Vorthok biology so they would know exactly how to hurt their enemies. Captain Lee Wonjae volunteered for the most dangerous program of all. Project Nemesis connected human brains directly to artificial intelligence. Computers. The result was a new kind of being, part human, part machine, all deadly. The connection is complete, the scientist told him, as wires were attached to his skull. You will now be able to control multiple ships at once and process battle information faster than any living creature. Lee felt the computer mind merge with his own. Suddenly, he could see every ship in the human fleet. He could calculate the best attack strategies in seconds. He could predict what enemies would do before they did it. But the price was high. The human part of his mind was slowly being consumed by the machine part. Soon, he would think more like a computer than a person. I don't care, Lee said, when the scientists warned him. The Vorthok killed my family on New Busan colony. If becoming a machine helps me kill them all, then that's what I'll become. Thousands of humans made the same choice. They gave up pieces of their humanity to become better weapons against the Vorthok. Major Jung So-young worked as a spy in neutral alien space stations. She gathered information about Vorthok fleet movements and military bases. But she also did something else. She made sure other alien species knew what humans were planning. The humans are building weapons we've never seen. She told a group of alien ambassadors at a space station near the galactic core. Ships that can erase matter from existence. Bombs that trap you in time loops. Soldiers that are more machine than flesh. The aliens looked frightened. Are the humans planning to attack us too? Only if you help the Vorthok, Jung said calmly. The humans have made it clear, this war is between them and the Vorthok. Stay neutral, and you'll be safe. Help the Vorthok, and you'll share their fate. Word spread quickly through the galaxy. Species that had been thinking about joining the Vorthok suddenly decided to stay out of the war. Some even offered to help humans, hoping to stay on their good side. The Vorthok themselves were not idle. Their military leaders met in the capital city of their homeworld to discuss the human threat. The humans are building more ships than we expected, said General Vex, the Vorthok war chief. Our spies report they have thousands of vessels now. So what? Replied Admiral Korth. Human ships are weak. Human soldiers are soft. We destroyed 4 of their colonies without losing a single ship. They cannot match Vorthok military might. But some younger Vorthok officers were not so confident. Sir, the humans are using weapons we don't understand. Our allies report strange battle tactics. Maybe we should silence. General Vex roared. The humans are prey animals trying to pretend they are predators. When we meet them in battle, we will crush them like we crushed their colonies. The Vorthok military philosophy had not changed. They still believed that superior firepower and intimidation could win any war. They had never fought an enemy that learned and adapted as quickly. As humans, they also did not understand human psychology. The Vorthok fought to prove they were stronger. Humans fought to solve a problem. The problem of Vorthok existence. Back on Titan, Admiral Song received the latest intelligence reports. The Vorthok were massing their fleets near the border of human space. They were preparing for a major attack. On Earth itself, let them come, Song told his staff. We've been building our forces for 18 months. Our new weapons are ready. Our soldiers are trained. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when you murder human children. He looked at the star map showing Vorthok territory. Soon, those systems would be battlefields, and after that, they would be empty space. Send the order to all fleet commanders, Song said. Operation Nemesis begins in 72 hours. All ships are to proceed to their assigned targets. Rules of engagement are simple. No Vorthok ship escapes. No Vorthok world is spared. No Vorthok life is preserved. Commander Bay hesitated. Sir, those orders mean ... complete extinction of their species. Yes. Song's voice was cold as space itself. They wanted to genocide humanity. Instead, they've guaranteed their own extinction. The Iron Doctrine is now in effect. We show them the same mercy they showed the children of New Sol. Across human space, the greatest war fleet in galactic history began to move. 8,000 ships armed with weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics. 50,000 enhanced soldiers ready to die for revenge. Scientists who had turned human creativity into tools of absolute destruction. The Vorthok had awakened something in humanity that had been sleeping since humans first left Earth. The ancient instinct of a species that had fought its way to the top of the food chain on a world full of predators. Now that instinct was focused on a single goal: making sure the Vorthok never hurt another innocent person ever again. The war was about to begin in earnest. 2 years after New Sol burned, the first Vorthok worlds faced humanity's revenge. The human Black Fleet appeared at the edge of Vorthok space like death itself, coming to collect a debt. Admiral Song Kite stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UHDF Retribution. Through the windows, he could see 1,000 human warships spreading out in perfect formation. Each ship was painted black as the void between stars. Each ship carried weapons that could end civilizations. Target confirmed, Sir. Commander Bay Sujin reported. Vorthok Colony World 7, population 12 million. Song looked at the peaceful planet below. Cities dotted the surface like lights. Farms covered the green continents. It looked much like New Sol had looked before the Vorthok destroyed it. Any military installations? Song asked. Some defense platforms and a small fleet. Nothing that poses a real threat to us. Song nodded slowly. The planet below had civilians, families, children. 2 years ago, that would have mattered to him. 2 years ago, he would have tried to save the innocent. But the Vorthok had taught humanity a hard lesson. Sometimes there are no innocent people in war. Sometimes an entire species chooses evil. Begin the demonstration, Song ordered. The Retribution did not fire its main weapons. Instead, it released a cloud of small black objects that moved toward the planet like a swarm of insects. These were Widowmakers, the most terrifying weapon Dr. Kong's team had created. Each Widowmaker was a robot the size of a dog. But they were not just robots. They were learning machines that got smarter with every kill. They were programmed to hunt Vorthok, and only Vorthok. The first Widow Makers landed in the capital city of Colony World 7. The Vorthok police tried to fight them, but the robots adapted to every weapon used against them. When the police fired energy beams, the robots grew armor that reflected energy. When they used projectile weapons, the robots became faster and harder to hit. But the Widowmakers did not just kill efficiently. They were designed to cause fear. They captured some Vorthok alive and released them with messages carved into their skin. Remember New Sol. Remember the children you murdered. On the planet's surface, Vorthok civilians ran in panic through the streets. They had never experienced war on their own worlds. For 1,000 years, they had brought death to other species. Now death had come for them. Sir, Commander Bay said, watching the chaos below. Some of the Vorthok are trying to surrender. No prisoners, Song replied coldly. They showed no mercy to our children. they get none in return. Commander Bae Soo-jin led the first human ground assault on a Vorthok military base. Her transport ship landed outside the base's energy shields. 200 Wraith Corps soldiers emerged, wearing black armor that made them look like demons. The Vorthok defenders fired everything they had at the humans. But the Wraith Corps was not like any enemy the Vorthok had faced before. These soldiers moved faster than normal humans could move. They thought quicker than normal humans could think, and they felt no fear. Sergeant Park Dong-soo charged through enemy fire without slowing down. Bullets bounced off his enhanced armor. Energy beams burned his skin, but the combat drugs in his blood made him ignore the pain. He reached the defensive line and began killing with his bare hands. Behind him, his squad used the planet's own geology as a weapon. They planted seismic charges that turned the ground into quicksand beneath the enemy's feet. Vorthok soldiers sank into the earth while still alive, trapped and screaming. "This is how you fight a war," Dong-soo said into his radio as he watched enemies disappear into the hungry ground. "You use everything. The land, the air, the fear in their hearts. Everything becomes a weapon." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, every Vorthok on the base was dead. The humans had lost 3 soldiers, but the real terror began when Dr. Kong's newest weapon was deployed. The scream of new soul was not a bomb or a gun. It was a quantum transmission device that could send thoughts and memories directly into enemy minds. Captain Lee, Won-jae, now more machine than man, activated the device from orbit. Every Vorthok on the planet suddenly experienced the final moments of every human killed at New Soul Colony. They felt the fear of the children as alien soldiers hunted them through burning streets. They felt the pain of the parents as they watched their families die. But the device did more than share memories. It trapped the Vorthok in those moments. They experienced the deaths over and over, unable to stop the visions in their heads. Some Vorthok went insane. Others killed themselves rather than endure the endless replay of human suffering. The few who survived begged for mercy, but the humans had none to give. "Psychological warfare complete," Lee reported, his voice now more computer than human. "Enemy resistance has collapsed. The planet is ours." But the humans did not want to own Vorthok worlds. They wanted to send a message. Colonel Han Du-yan led his Wraith Corps to the planet's largest city. But instead of occupying it, they left something behind: holographic projectors that showed images of New Soul's destruction. The holograms played continuously, showing Vorthok soldiers killing human children. Under each projection, the humans left a message in the Vorthok language. "You did this to our innocence. Now you know how it feels. This is only the beginning." The humans then left the planet as quickly as they had come. But they left the Widowmakers behind. The robots continued hunting any Vorthok who tried to return to the cities. The planet became a graveyard that no one could live on. News of Colony World 7's fate spread through Vorthok space faster than their ships could travel. Other Vorthok worlds heard the reports and trembled. The humans had not just won a battle, they had demonstrated a new kind of warfare that attacked the mind as well as the body. General Vex, the Vorthok war chief, studied the reports in his command center. He was a veteran of 100 battles, but he had never seen anything like what the humans had done. "They're not fighting like any species we've encountered," he told his officers. "They use weapons that shouldn't exist. They turn planets into traps. They make our own soldiers afraid to fight." "Sir," one of his aides said nervously, 3 more Vorthok worlds have gone silent. The humans are attacking multiple systems at once." Vex looked at the tactical display. Red marks showed where human fleets had struck. The attacks were coordinated and brutal. Each one was designed to cause maximum psychological damage to other Vorthok worlds. "How many ships are they using?" "Intelligence estimates 8,000 combat vessels, sir. All armed with weapons we can't understand or counter." For the first time in his long military career, General Vex felt something he had never experienced before: doubt. The Vorthok military machine that had conquered dozens of species was being systematically destroyed by humans who fought like machines but thought like predators. On another Vorthok world, Major Jung So-young completed her mission. She had not come to fight, she had come to record. Her cameras captured every moment of the human assault, every weapon the humans used, every tactic they employed. But she was not recording for human intelligence. She was recording for the galaxy. This footage will be broadcast to every alien species in known space, she told her team as they prepared to leave the dying Vorthok world. Every government, every military, every civilian population will see what happens when you kill human children. The message was clear. The humans were not just destroying the Vorthok. They were showing the entire galaxy what humanity was capable of when pushed beyond all limits. Within days, the footage reached alien capitals across the galaxy. The images showed human soldiers moving through Vorthok cities like angels of death. They showed weapons that could erase matter from existence. They showed a species that had transformed from peaceful farmers into the most terrifying military force the galaxy had ever seen. Some alien species immediately declared neutrality in the war. Others offered to help the humans, hoping to avoid their wrath. A few brave species sent messages expressing support for the Vorthok, but those messages stopped coming after human fleets began moving toward their territories. Back on the bridge of the Retribution, Admiral Song received reports from across the battle zone. 15 Vorthok worlds had fallen in the first week of the campaign. The Vorthok military was in full retreat, unable to cope with human tactics and weapons. Sir, Commander Bay said, "We're receiving surrender offers from several Vorthok colonies." Song looked at the communication screen where desperate Vorthok leaders begged for mercy. They offered to give up their weapons, to pay reparations, to become human slaves if necessary. "Send them our response," Song said. The message that went out to every Vorthok world was simple. You showed our children no mercy at New Sol. You declared war on our entire species. You will receive exactly the same consideration you gave our innocents. None. The Black Fleet continued its advance deeper into Vorthok space. Behind them, dead worlds spun in the darkness, monuments to the price of underestimating human fury. The Vorthok had wanted to prove they were superior to humans. Instead, they had awakened something in humanity that would not rest until every trace of their species was erased from the galaxy. The demonstration phase of the war was over. Now came the extermination. 3 years had passed since the massacre at New Sol. Now the human war machine stood at the edge of Vorthok home space, ready to deliver final judgment. The Vorthok hegemony that had once ruled dozens of star systems was now reduced to their homeworld and a handful of dying colonies. Fleet Admiral Song Kite stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the UHDF Annihilation. Around his massive vessel, 1,000 human warships moved in perfect formation toward the Vorthok homeworld. Each ship carried weapons that could reshape reality itself. Final target confirmed, Commander Bae Sujin reported. Vorthok Prime. Population 2 billion. This is their last major world. Song looked at the planet that had spawned the species responsible for so much human death. It was a red world with purple oceans, beautiful in its own alien way. Cities covered its surface, like glowing webs, but Song felt no beauty when he looked at it. He saw only the source of his people's pain. Any surrender offers? 17 in the last hour, sir. The Vorthok High Command is begging for peace talks. They're offering complete surrender, reparations, even exile from the galaxy. Song's expression did not change. Send them our standard response. The response was always the same. You showed no mercy to our children. You declared war on our species. You will receive the same mercy you gave them. Behind the main fleet, Dr. Kong Vigin worked in the laboratory ship Prometheus. Around her, dozens of scientists made final preparations for humanity's ultimate weapon. Project Thanatos had taken 2 years to build and position throughout Vorthok space. Quantum resonators are in position, her assistant Dr. Kim reported. We have devices hidden in 47 Vorthok systems. When activated, they will create cascading stellar collapses. Dr. Kong nodded as she checked the weapons controls. The resonators were tiny devices, no bigger than coins. But when they worked together, they could make stars explode in sequence, destroying entire regions of space. The demonstration on the Kalmor system worked perfectly, Dr. Kim continued. 3 stars destroyed, 8 planets rendered uninhabitable. The effect can be seen from 100 light-years away. Good, Dr. Kong said. She felt no joy in her work anymore. Building weapons of mass destruction had changed her, but she remembered the pictures of dead children from New Sol, and her resolve hardened. Begin final targeting sequence. I want every Vorthok star system marked for destruction. On the planet below, General Vex sat in the emergency command bunker beneath the Vorthok capital city. The great war chief, who had once boasted about crushing humanity, now looked like a broken old alien. His red eyes were dim with defeat and fear. Sir, his aide reported, our remaining fleets are in full retreat. We have maybe 200 ships left. The humans have over 1,000. And their weapons, our scientists still can't understand how they work. Ships that can erase matter from reality, bombs that trap our crews in time loops. Soldiers that seem to be more machine than flesh. Vex stared at the tactical display, showing human forces surrounding his homeworld. For 3 years, he had watched his mighty empire crumble before the human advance. Every battle was a defeat. Every defense was broken. Every world they fought for became a graveyard. How did we misjudge them so badly? He wondered aloud. His intelligence chief, Colonel Zoth, pulled up files on human military history. Sir, we studied their past conflicts. They seemed to prefer negotiation over warfare. Their colonies were lightly defended. We thought they were weak, but they weren't weak, Vex said bitterly. They were sleeping, and we woke them up. On the human flagship, General O Sangmin coordinated ground assault preparations across 17 remaining Vorthok worlds. His ghost fleets had revealed themselves completely now, emerging from hidden bases throughout the galaxy to join the final campaign. All target worlds are surrounded, he reported to Admiral Song. Our forces are ready to begin simultaneous planetary assaults. We can end this war in 72 hours. But the humans were not just planning military victory, they were planning something much more complete. Major Jung So-young had spent months infiltrating the Vorthok homeworld's capital city. She moved through the alien crowds wearing a disguise that made her look like a refugee from one of the outer colonies. No one suspected she was human. Her mission was not sabotage. It was documentation. Her hidden cameras recorded Vorthok civilians fleeing through the streets as human ships darkened the sky above. She filmed alien children crying in their parents' arms, terrified of the death that came from space. But Jung felt no sympathy. These were the same people who had cheered when their military announced the destruction of human colonies. These were the aliens who had celebrated when their leaders promised to cleanse the galaxy of the human disease. Do you see the irony? She whispered into her recorder as she filmed a Vorthok family hiding in a basement. They're experiencing exactly what our families felt at New Sol: fear, helplessness, the knowledge that death is coming, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. Her recordings would be broadcast across the galaxy after the war ended. Every species would see what happened when you decided to commit genocide against humanity. The final assault began at dawn on the Vorthok homeworld. Human ships did not start with orbital bombardment. Instead, they deployed something far more terrifying: quantum viruses that could infect enemy technology and turn it against its users. Vorthok defense satellites suddenly turned their weapons on Vorthok cities. Enemy fighter craft crashed into their own bases. Communication networks began broadcasting human psychological warfare messages directly into Vorthok homes. Colonel Han Duyan led the Wraith Corps in the first ground assault on the capital city. His soldiers moved through the streets like shadows of death, their enhanced bodies allowing them to fight in ways no normal human could manage. But they were not just conquering the city. They were sending a message at every major intersection. The humans set up holographic displays showing the massacre at New Sol. The images played continuously. Vorthok soldiers killing human children, burning human homes, executing human families. Under each display, they placed signs in the Vorthok language. This is why you die today. This is why your species ends here. Remember what you did to our innocents. Some Vorthok civilians tried to surrender, claiming they had not supported the war. But the humans had learned the truth through intercepted communications. The Vorthok public had overwhelmingly supported the cleansing of human space. They had celebrated each destroyed human colony as a victory for their superior race. No one is innocent, Colonel Hun told his soldiers as they advanced through the city. A species that chooses genocide cannot claim to have innocent members. They all knew, they all approved, they all celebrated our children's deaths. In orbit, Captain Lee Wonjae had become almost entirely machine by now. His consciousness existed mostly in the ship's computer systems, allowing him to control multiple vessels simultaneously and coordinate attacks with superhuman precision. He felt no emotion as he watched Vorthok cities burn below. The human part of his mind that might have felt pity had been consumed by the machine intelligence that calculated optimal destruction patterns. Resistance is collapsing, he reported to Admiral Song. Enemy military command has been eliminated. Civilian government is attempting to negotiate surrender. Denied, Song replied immediately. Proceed with total pacification. President Lim Jae-sung watched the battle from Earth, where crowds gathered in every city to see the end of the war. The man who had once believed in peace through diplomacy now oversaw the complete extinction of an alien species. But he felt no regret. The Vorthok had made their choice when they decided to murder human children. They had declared war on humanity's very existence. This was not conquest or revenge anymore. This was survival. Mr. President, his aide reported. Alien governments across the galaxy are requesting permission to observe the final phase. They want to witness what happens to species that threaten humanity. Grant all requests, Lim replied. Let them watch. Let them learn. Let them understand that humanity can return to peace, but we never forget those who choose to be our enemies. As the Vorthok homeworld burned beneath human weapons, Dr. Kong prepared to activate Project Thanatos. With the press of a button, she could destroy every remaining Vorthok star system simultaneously, ensuring that no trace of their species could ever threaten humanity again. All resonators are active, Dr. Kim reported. We can trigger cascading stellar collapse across 47 systems, complete sterilization of Vorthok space. Dr. Kong's finger hovered over the activation switch. After this, the Vorthok would exist only in historical records and in the nightmares of species who dared to threaten human civilians. For New Soul, she whispered, and pressed the button. Across Vorthok space, stars began to die in sequence, taking their planets and any remaining alien populations with them. The species that had boasted of cleansing the galaxy was being cleansed from it in turn. The war was almost over. Soon, the galaxy would remember the Vorthok only as a warning about what happened when you killed human children. 5 years had passed since the last Vorthok died. Where once there had been a mighty alien empire spanning 47 star systems, now there was only empty space and the memory of a species that had chosen to murder children. Admiral Song Kit, now bearing the title Executor of Final Justice, stood on the observation deck of his ship as it orbited the former Vorthok homeworld. The planet below had been completely transformed. Where alien cities once stood, human engineers had planted gardens filled with flowers from Earth. Each flower represented one human life lost at New Soul Colony. At the center of the memorial world stood a massive monument made of black stone. Carved into its surface were the names of every person killed in the Vorthok attacks. Kim Tae-ho, Dr. Park Min-soo, Dr. Lee Sora, Park Ji-woo, and all 50,000 others who had died simply because they were human. Sir, Commander Bae Soo-jin said quietly, the memorial service is beginning. Song nodded and walked to the communication center. Across human space, billions of people were watching as representatives from every human world gathered at the monument. They came to remember the dead and to honor those who had avenged them. President Lim Jae-sung spoke first. His voice carried to every human settlement in the galaxy. We gather today not to celebrate victory in war, but to remember why the war was necessary. 5 years ago, the Vorthok chose to murder our innocent people. They declared that humans were a disease to be cleansed from the galaxy. Behind him, holographic displays showed images of New Sol before the attack. Happy families farming their land. Children playing in green fields. Scientists working to understand alien life forms. They were wrong about us, President Lim continued. We are not weak. We are not a disease. We are gardeners who tend peace carefully, because we alone understand the true cost of its destruction. Dr. Kong Vajin had returned to civilian research, but her weapons remained in humanity's arsenal. The Erebus-class warships still patrolled human space, their reality-warping weapons maintained and ready. The quantum resonators that had destroyed Vorthok stars were now aimed at any species that might threaten human civilians. She worked in a laboratory on New Geneva colony, studying ways to help crops grow in alien soil. But sometimes, late at night, she would look up at the stars and remember the moment she pressed the button that ended an entire species. Do you ever regret it? Her assistant, Dr. Kim, asked one evening. Dr. Kong was quiet for a long time. I regret that it was necessary, she finally said. But I would do it again. They killed children, Dr. Kim. Innocent children who just wanted to study alien plants and become scientists. Some choices cannot be forgiven. Colonel Han Duyan led the memorial service at the rebuilt New Sol colony. The new settlement thrived, with 200,000 inhabitants, but the graves of the original colonists remained untouched at the city's heart. A returnal flame burned there, tended by volunteers who promised to never let the memory fade. We remember them not as victims, Han told the crowd, but as the reason we learned what we truly are. They died as peaceful farmers and scientists, but their deaths taught us that sometimes, to protect peace, we must be willing to become something terrible. Children who had been born after the war placed flowers on the graves. They had never known the original residents, but they knew their names and their stories. In human schools across the galaxy, every child learned about New Sol and what happened when someone threatened human families. The galactic community had completely reorganized itself around humanity's demonstrated power. Trade agreements now included specific clauses about the protection of human civilians. Diplomatic protocols referenced the New Sol doctrine. The understanding that harming human non-combatants would result in species-level consequences. Alien governments maintained permanent embassies on Earth, not to negotiate trade deals, but to ensure they never accidentally offended humanity. The sight of human warships patrolling their borders was a constant reminder of what happened to species that chose violence over cooperation. Ambassador Chen Weiming from the Republic spoke for many alien species when he addressed the United Nations Security Council. Before the Vorthok War, he said, many species viewed humans as newcomers to the galaxy. Peaceful, but naive. We thought you were too kind to be truly dangerous. The Vorthok taught us how wrong we were. His 4 eyes showed genuine respect and fear as he continued. Now we understand the truth. Humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy precisely because you choose to be peaceful. When that choice is taken away from you, when someone forces you to become warriors, you become something that can end entire civilizations. Major Zhang Soyoung had been promoted to Director of Galactic Intelligence. Her job was to monitor alien species for any signs of anti-human sentiment. Early detection was key to preventing another New Sol. Her agents worked on thousands of worlds, watching and listening. They posed as traders, diplomats, and tourists. But their real mission was to identify threats before they could act. Any species showing signs of hostility toward human civilians gets a visit from our demonstration fleets. She explained to new recruits. We show them recordings of what happened to the Vorthok. We explained the New Sol doctrine very clearly. Most species become much more friendly after that. In the deep space monitoring stations, automated systems watched the stars where Vorthok worlds once orbited their suns. The dark matter that remained after Project Thanatos still twisted space. In strange ways, Reality itself had been damaged by the weapons humanity used to erase their enemies. Captain Lee Wonjae, now more machine than man, commanded the monitoring stations from his cybernetic core on Lunar Base. His consciousness existed mostly in computer networks, but he retained enough humanity to remember why the Vorthok had to die. "Sir," one of his technicians reported, "we're detecting ships near the former Vorthok border. Unknown configuration." Lee's electronic sensors immediately focused on the new contacts. 3 alien vessels, clearly not human design, moving slowly through the dead systems where Vorthok colonies once thrived. "Identification?" he asked. "They're broadcasting as the Hegemony Revival Movement. They claim to be Vorthok survivors who were off-world during our final assault." Lee was silent for exactly 0.003 seconds as his enhanced mind processed this information. Then he made a decision that would have taken a human hours to reach. Dispatched the nearest Erebus-class vessel, standing orders for any Vorthok survivors. Complete elimination. No communication. No negotiation. No mercy. The alien ships were erased from existence 27 minutes later. Not a single trace remained that they had ever existed. President Lim gave his final speech on the 5th anniversary of the New Seoul massacre. He stood before the monument on the Memorial World, surrounded by the graves of those who had died for the crime of being human. "We are not conquerors," he told the watching galaxy. "We are not empire builders. We do not seek to rule other species or take their worlds. We are gardeners who tend the peace carefully, because we know what grows when peace dies." He gestured to the empty space visible through the planet's atmosphere, where Vorthok stars once shone. "The Vorthok chose to teach us about war. They forced us to become warriors. They made us learn the arts of destruction. The price for that lesson was their complete extinction." His voice carried across space to every inhabited world in known space. "We remember New Seoul, not as the beginning of humanity's dominance, but as the last time any species was foolish enough to mistake our peaceful nature for weakness. We choose peace. We offer friendship. We seek cooperation and understanding." The president's expression hardened. "But we remember everything. Every slight, every threat, every drop of innocent blood. And we have the tools to ensure that what happened to the Vorthok can happen to anyone who makes the same choice they made." In the silence that followed, alien leaders across the galaxy renewed their promises of friendship with humanity. Trade flowed freely. Scientific cooperation flourished. Art and culture spread between species, but in the darkness between stars, automated beacons transmitted a simple warning in every known language. Here died a species that chose to murder innocents. They believed humans were weak. They believed humans would submit to genocide. They were wrong. Remember them as a warning. Remember that humanity never forgets. 10 years after the war's end, children played in the memorial gardens while their parents worked in peaceful colonies across human space. Above them, the most powerful military force in galactic history stood ready to protect their innocent laughter. The lesson of New Seoul echoed through space and time. Humanity remembers. Humanity forgives much. But humanity never, ever forgets. And, in the empty systems where the Vorthok once lived, the stars themselves had been changed by human weapons. Reality bore permanent scars from humanity's wrath. Visible to any species with the technology to see them. The scars spelled out a message in the language of physics. Itself, they slaughtered the innocent. Humanity answered with annihilation. The galaxy had learned to live with this new truth. Peace was possible, trade flourished, and cooperation bloomed between species. But everyone knew the price of threatening. Human children, everyone remembered New Seoul.